Great morning, great morning, great morning. It is Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the It's About You radio show here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. I'm your host, Maurice McDonald, and every Tuesday morning I have this honor, the privilege, and the responsibility to share some information on this platform. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted. Sharing some amazing information to help you be the best you can possibly be and help you to go for those goals that maybe you have not reached for, things you've put on the shelf. And because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Standard Time, I know somebody's having breakfast. I know somebody's in the gym. Somebody's driving in their car or at work listening, and I thank you for that opportunity. Thanks for the ride in the car. If you're in the gym, get that one more rep in. You got this. At breakfast, get that cup of coffee. You can make it work today. And because it is Tuesday morning on the It's About You radio show, I always start with the morning quote of the day, the morning motivational quote today. And today it comes from none other than C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis says, "You're never too old to start another dream or set a new dream." Or you're never too old to set another goal or to dream another dream. How many times have you heard people use the word, "I'm too old, at my age, I can't do this, I'm just too old"? Usually that comes from somebody who told you that, and you buy into that. So C.S. Lewis says you're never too old to set another goal. Always set another goal. Once you reach that goal, set another goal. Or dream another dream. Dream bigger. Dream more often. Fail often. Fail often. It's okay. Fail often. Now you figured out what didn't work and you make it happen. You know, there's a great story of two brothers. Formula 409. I love this story. Formula 409, the cleaner. Ladies and gentlemen, it was two brothers who were chemists. And they were trying to come up with this cleaning formula. And they kept going, and they kept going, they kept going. They stumbled. And finally, on the 409th time, they got it right. And guess what they named it? Formula 409. And some people say, well, you know what? They failed 408 times. No, they did not. It took what it took. They needed 408 times. How many of you would have quit? How many of you would have said, oh, and this was many years they went through this, ladies and gentlemen. This wasn't 6 months. This was many years. But let me plant the seed in your mind. They became multimillionaires and they're dead and gone. But guess what? They still sell that. So the family is still making income. Colonel Sanders, 65 years old when he started KFC. So listen, if you've been eating Kentucky Fried Chicken, this was a man that started in his 60s. So my point to you today is, come out of that closet of I'm too old. No, you're as young as you feel, and sometimes your gift will not come out until later on. You had to go through some things. That's my story. You heard me say this many times. I wanted radio when I was in my 20s, but the Creator had another plan for me. It wasn't until 40 years later he brought radio. I had forgotten about it, but guess what? He knew that was my first love. And 40 years later, here I am, prepared to say other things. I wasn't ready at that point. And so I love this. So that is the morning motivation quote of the day. Go out and make it great. Brought to you by MauriceMcDonald.net. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net and learn all about your amazing gut microbiome. All disease begins in the gut. That's MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net. And learn about your amazing gut microbiome and get it right today. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, if you're just joining me and not knowing who I am, I'm Maurice McDonald, and I've had 3 amazing careers as a professional law enforcement officer, professional school counselor, and now as a college professor. So I've been serving people for over 4 decades. And with that said, I've come across a lot of people. I go a lot of places and I meet a lot of people, and they have a story, because we all have a story. And so today I met a couple. And let me tell you, let's put it this way. They had my attention because they were cooking. and I could smell something that smelled so good. I was at an event, and I saw this beautiful red tent, and people were lined up going over there, and I was across the room looking at it. And the closer I got to the tent, the smell got even better. And they were preparing food and vegetables over there, ladies and gentlemen. And they were giving samples out, and they were very busy. And I said, well, I'm going to come back over here. Well, I got over there, and I tasted something that just, oh my gosh. If you've ever had vegetables, you haven't had vegetables prepared by this couple. And because of the taste, it was so good. And I got the chance to talk to them. And so we've been talking. I told them, you know what? I want to interview you. I want you on the show to share the story. And the backdrop to this, number one, they owned the restaurant in the past. And I'm let them tell their story about it. But it's powerful. And we have Mr. Zane Marks and his amazing wife, Akilah Marks. And guess what? They have a company called Zane's Carolina Seasoning. So with that said, I'm going to let them introduce themselves and share their story a little bit about this. So welcome to the show, Marks, Mr. and Mrs. Marks. How you guys doing?
Hello, everybody.
Great. Hello.
My name is Zane Marks, and I'm the owner of Zane's Carolina Seasoning. I created a seasoning called Zane Gray's Vegetable Seasoning. I've been cooking all my life, and I have my beautiful wife here. Honey, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Akilah Marks, and I am the CFO of the company. So I do the financial side. I work with creating the bottles, the labels, the marketing, the networking, the financials, booking appointments for Chef Zane, and making sure that his stuff stands out and is colorful and vibrant to attract people to come over, just like Mr. Donald said. So that made me feel really good on my aspect. Chef Zane is great at drawing people in with the food, but it is the catchy part of what I do to the company. So we are a husband and wife duo, and it is just the two of us in our company. And I'll let Zane continue on.
She was just saying in a nice way that she's the brains of operation.
I was getting ready to say, I knew for a fact. I said, now he know what time it is, okay? Because it sounded like, because some men be quickly to say, well, I do this, I. Yeah, you better go somewhere and sit down, okay? Hey.
I had to throw that in.
That's why, because
with the food.
Yes, because as you said, listen, the smell was truly amazing, and I know this journey. Can you give us a little bit about the personal journey? What inspired you to even go? Because you said you own the restaurant, so tell us about that, and maybe your background in cooking. How long have you been cooking?
So I've been cooking. It seems like all my life. It's been over 40 years of cooking. Let me, like you said, Mr. McDonald. Let me back up a second here. I was born in Sanford, North Carolina. My parents were sharecropping, and my mom woke up one day and told my dad that, hey, listen, we can't make it this way. So back then in the 60s, I'm dating myself a little bit here, but back in the 60s, a lot of people moved up north. And so I was raised in a place called New Haven, Connecticut, and in the summertime, we would come back here in North Carolina, a place called Broadway, where my grandfather had a farm. My father and mother was old school, so you got taught how to work and how to maintain and how to take care of yourself. By me being the baby of the family, I hung around the house, and in that kitchen, there was 5 women, and all they did was cook breakfast, lunch, dinner, and supper. Y'all, anybody know what that is? Y'all know that on a farm, food had to be prepared, and that's where I got my start at cooking. And then when we moved to Connecticut, and I grew up and graduated from high school, I became a correction officer. I did that for 23 years, and then once I retired, I've been retired since 2021, right? No, 2002. I'm sorry, 2002. And After then, I went to culinary school, a place called Lincoln Tech, and that's where I got the certificate to cook, because I knew how to cook going to culinary school, period. And so that's how I got my love for cooking. You know, I heard Michael Jackson say one time, when he's on stage, he's a whole different person. When I'm in the kitchen, I'm a whole different person. I can go in the kitchen and stay 12 hours and not even blink at it. And so that's how we got started. So when the wife and I moved back to North Carolina, within 3 weeks, we had opened up a place called Monifa's Southern Food and Catering. Just so you know, her middle name is Monifa. I love her so much, I named my restaurant after her, and that's where the journey began.
Come on, man. First and foremost, see, get your riding points in today, brother. I see you. Get them in, no doubt. I ain't mad at you, though. That's what you do, because I'm listening to what you said. You know, I would listen oftentimes to when you were telling your story about being in the kitchen with 5 women. I think about Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry got his start for all his plays being around those women in the neighborhood and hearing the conversation. And so that was your culinary school. When you were as a young lad in the kitchen, the smells, the conversation, watching what they were doing. You see, sometimes people don't understand. You got to plant yourself in the right place. And you were there. And that was your formal training right there. Like you said, you went to culinary and got the certificate. But the roots were in the kitchen with some master chefs, okay?
Absolutely.
And they didn't and they didn't measure much, didn't they? Pinch of this, pinch of that. They just knew what to do.
I don't even remember seeing a measuring cup in the kitchen.
Yes, they knew you were in the trenches doing it, and you were in the right environment. And who knew what was going to be planned? And thank you so much for your service. We have something in common. When you said Department of Corrections, I got them off the street and brought them to you. Okay? Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, you got some stories. There's no doubt about it. That's another show we got to do. Exactly right. But yes. And the thing of it is, when you and your wife came together, now, was it an instant idea to get into the catering, or that you all had to discuss? Because sometimes people say, well, I want to go do this a different direction. How did that work out for you all to come together for your catering business?
So I'm going to let Susie Sous Chef tell the story about how we got started in Connecticut with soul food at its best, and we cooked for Mama's campaign and all.
Yeah, so we had started out just catering in Connecticut, and we were cooking for funeral homes that had deaths, and they wanted to prepare food for customers, their families as soon as they got the word they passed away. So we started cooking like that, and we were getting great reviews. So then we decided to take it a little further. And back then, that business was soul food at its best, and we had our 2 partners that were with us, Latoya Howard and Nijawan Howard. They had came in with us, and they were helping on that side. So we would go and cook that food. We had catering jobs that would come, but one of the ones that stood out is in Connecticut. We had to cook for 1,000 people for the election when Obama was being elected, and we had to cook for all the different polls. And we actually delivered the food on time, and it was hot. And they were raving about that, so that was a huge deal for us.
I fried 560 pounds of chicken that day.
Chef Zane was so tired. He was like, I don't want to see another piece of chicken for like the next couple of months. Don't mention the word chicken to me.
500. Ooh, that's a lot of chicken.
It was a lot of chicken. We fed 1,000 people. Yeah, and we had a huge team. We had great family support to help us with that. So that's how we got started catering. So it was there in us, and once we had a major snowstorm, and I said, I can't stay here again. Like, it was so bad. We ended up going, and we ended up going and getting, coming here, and then Chef Zane, all of a sudden, we were just still unpacking our house. And Chef Zane was like, did you see that empty building? I want that. Let's go look at it. I said, honey, we just moved here. Like, we don't even have jobs. And he was like, but look, you see, it's real small. I know we could do it. Now, my background is accounting, so I have no experience with cooking. I am not the cook in my house. Chef Zane is the one that cooks every day, all day. He does not like leftovers, so my life has been grand.
I was about to say, ma'am, I hear some women now going, oh, she just bragging now. Got a man cooking for her every day. You're so blessed.
And so when he said that, I was like, I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the experience. My background is accounting. I did not take a business management class. He didn't have the business management side. And I said, here we are, and he wants to strike out into this world. And we still had 2 children that were in middle school and high school at home. We have 6, but 4 of them were in Connecticut, and the last 2 had moved here with us, and they were involved in sports. So we were juggling that, but I saw my husband's passion, and I said, okay, if the Lord says so, it's going to be so. So we went, we met the people, and 3 weeks later we had the key. So we didn't open up for 2 months because of the cleaning up and preparation, getting ready. But boy, when we did, that thing took off, and we were nonstop for almost 2 years. Our town is very slow, so in the winter it's like somebody turned the lights off. And I said to Chef Zane, I said, honey, I don't like the fact that we have to let go of people in the winter time because we can't afford to have, we were staffed at 14 in the summers, and we would be down to 4 of us in the winter, and I didn't like it. So I told him that I think it was better that we shut down because we were spending a lot of money to try to stay afloat. And for me, my passion is to help people and not to hinder people because, like us, they needed to eat, right? Or, go to school. So that's when we ended up closing the business down. And once we did that, well, I will go back to Zane created the seasoning in the restaurant. And he was cooking with just the vegetables with the vegetable seasoning, and that's how it came to life. And he was put some stuff together in the kitchen. He started using it, and people thought that we were cooking with meat in the restaurant. And so I went back, because I'm not a chef and I'm not a cook. I said, honey, are you putting meat in the vegetables and then taking it out? Because people keep asking me, like, are you removing the meat because they can't eat pork or, in different situations? He said, no. He said, I'm just using my seasoning. Why? So I explained to him. He said, honey, I'm not taking no meat out. I'm just using my seasoning. So that's where we found that the vegetable seasoning was giving everything flavor that you didn't have to cook with pork, even though he wasn't cooking with pork in the restaurant. So when we decided to close it down, I said, honey, you have people, you are a great chef, but it's not just the part that you're a chef. And I'm not taking away from how good you cook. I see it. I watch the people because I worked in the front. I said, but it's what you're doing and what you created. I said, I think we need to just try to market it. Let's just sell it to family and friends and see, how it goes. So I just ordered a bottle off Amazon, threw some seasoning in there. I typed on the computer, Googled some little logos and stuff, slapped the logo on there that I had found and came up with, and put it on the bottle. And I said, what do you think about this? And it had tape around it. I wish I would have kept that one bottle with the tape. But it just had tape on it. And I said, what do you think about something like this? And so he was like, He said, that's kind of cool. So then I put it on little labels and started slapping this old label. And on a bunch of our old videos, we still actually have the old bottles before they became what they are. And we started selling it to family, friends, and then it just started taking off from there. So here we are 10 years later, still selling this seasoning, and people taste the flavor. And we started doing a cooking show on social media, and people were like, why are y'all cooking with just the vegetables? We use it on everything. So we started cooking on our cooking show on everything. So we were tasting on like meats, eggs, grits, salads, fruits, vegetables, potato salads, all those things, soups. And tofu, like for vegans and vegetarians, hummus. So we started trying to cook with all these different things, and so we decided not to change the name because he said he created it for vegetables, and that's one thing people struggle with. So that's pretty much how it all came about.
If you don't mind me chiming in,
yeah.
One day I was in the kitchen. And I make a mustard and turnip ring mix, and we were in the restaurant, and this young lady ordered a plate of the greens with some other stuff what she had ordered to eat, but she was crying, and my wife come out the back, and I said, honey, this girl out here is crying. I said, I know my food ain't that bad that she's crying. And so my wife and I went out and we began to talk to this young lady. She said that the greens were so good, it reminded her of her grandmother who had passed away 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
impact.
I knew then that I had something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say if that is not a sign, because what I'm hearing you all here is grassroots. Again, a great analogy from back in the day, the famous Amos cookies. We know his story. He was baking for a certain amount of people, and somebody said, why don't you sell these? And so now you all have shared this amazing story of trial and tribulations and restaurants. Because let's put it this way now. I say that because was this a straight line business that everything worked out perfectly?
No, not at all. No.
So
like I said,
let me touch on that for a second.
So I will tell you, and that's why I said the hurtful part was we were great and we hired staff, but because we were more family oriented, it bothered us to have to close the doors because we had to, have people come for seasons. And we treated all our staff like family. They weren't just workers. We hugged each other, we talked together, we prayed together.
Right.
One of our staff members became our nanny. Like, he would drop off and pick up our kids on the clock and, to be able to help us out because we still maintained and kept our little village. And it was very hurtful when we closed. And some of our staff members keep saying, we miss it. We wish y'all could have stayed open. And once Chef Zane says what he says, I'll go into the fact that we opened up a second restaurant in Apex once he's done.
So I one of the lows for me was like Akilah just said that it was to close the doors. Not so much about closing the doors because my passion for the restaurant, it was closing the doors knowing that the people that we had employed had to go and find other jobs and start over because times are tough, and so that kind of bothered me a lot. And so when she came up with the idea of us doing this, I was trying to figure out maybe we could, start another restaurant and you can pick up from there and tell about that.
Yeah. And so once we had closed the doors down and we were just selling the seasoning, we had decided opportunity became available in Apex. So we looked into it. We knew the former restaurant owners of that place. And so we decided to take on that responsibility. So this was during COVID, but it was when the government started telling everybody, hey, you got to go back to work. We're not paying you. Everybody needs to go back. So we were like, oh, this is great. Everybody's going back to work. So we put all this stuff together. We got everything together. We got it up and running. And then as we were doing it, we were on ABC News. So ABC News came out and did a segment on us and showcased us getting ready to open the doors. And when we opened the doors, right before we were opening, we found out that we were the first Southern food restaurant ever in Apex.
Wow.
So it became this huge to-do, and the buzz on ABC News took off, and people already knew us from the Monifas in Sanford, and they were waiting for us to open back up. We had all this anticipation. Our social media shot up to over 1,000 views, 1,000 followers in the first 4 days.
Wow, wow,
It
wow.
was crazy. Like, it was out of control, and people kept watching us, following us. So when we opened up the doors, we did not have any staff in the back. And we
Wow.
could not stop because the news had aired us. The mayor, the whole city of Apex, the Chamber of Commerce was coming. Like, everything was locked and ready to go. And we had people calling us to interview, and they weren't showing up. So we
Wow,
only
wow.
had all our wait staff in the front. We had no dishwasher. We had no sous chef. We had no one to help Chef Zane in the back. And we had to keep going forward. And we were like, what are we going to do?
Wow. I tell you what, let's pause right here. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
Did you know all disease begins in the gut? That's right. Your gut is your second brain, guys. It's connected to your liver. It's connected to your hormones. All things start in the gut. That's why you need to get your gut right today with P84. Loved Biome. Awesome product called P84. 84 fruits and vegetables organically grown all around the world to help detox every organ in your body, provide all the nutrients, everything you need in your system to get your gut right. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net, 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 and learn about P84 to get your gut right so that you can have an awesome body. Okay, we're back, guys, here on WDRB Media, the voice of the community. It's About You radio show. I'm Maurice McDonald, your host, and this first segment has been awesome. I have my amazing guest here today, Mr. Zane Marks and his wife Akilah, and they have a company called Zane's Carolina Seasoning. They've been talking about the roots of learning to cook. Mr. Zane said he started as a child in the kitchen, I could just, I can see the homemade biscuits they had in there. I can see I can smell, I can see that breakfast, that lunch, because back in the 60s he talked about how this started, because I too was young in the kitchen with grandmama and seeing things, and he took me back, seeing those times, and being on a farm with my grandmom and stuff, so and then of course his love for cooking. He also talked about him being a correctional officer, moving to Hartford, Connecticut, and I believe, and then the idea of having all of this, and then meeting his wife, and they were serving. Can you imagine? They had served for President Obama in the election during that time, 2008. And now he's talking about 500 pieces of chicken he fried. He said he didn't want to fry any more chicken that day. I can understand it. And now moving to North Carolina, having a restaurant, have a catering service, and the ups and downs of business itself. And then of course the pandemic. A lot of restaurants struggled during the pandemic. So if you all would tell us a little bit further, finish what you were saying about the business, and now you got the seasoning. You said he started and people loved it, and a lady was crying, you said, because it reminded her of her grandmother or mother's cooking. So finish telling us about it.
Yes, and so where I left off, we had opened up the restaurant in Apex, and the first 3 hours we had over 200 people just swarmed around the building. And we were sitting there trying to keep up with the masses, because again, this is the part where I said Chef Zane had no help in the back, no sous chef, no dishwashers. So our family that had flew in for the event had to help us just to be able to make it through the day. And it was so intense and so jam-packed that Chef Zane had started having pains in his chest. And he was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And I'm like, oh my God, like, we have no one here to cook this food if you sit down. And so we ended up having to shut the restaurant down during opening day, the first 3 hours. And we had to put away and not tell everybody that we were closing. I rushed them to the hospital, and we found out he had an infection in his lungs that we had no idea about. And he had told me, he said, honey, the Lord showed me that if I decide to continue this path, knowing that I have my own income, and we just empty nested with the kids leaving, he said, the Lord showed me if I continue on this path, I'm going to be dead in a year. And so my heart just dropped. And I said, honey, what are you saying? We just put in $65,000 and you're telling me we are about to lose it all and walk away from this? And he literally had to be on medication. The medication almost took him out. So we opened up 2 days later and we revamped our menu. Our children and my father were helping us. And he said, I can't do it. I can't do it no more. The mayor was reaching out to us. He said his phone was staying off the hook. It stayed busy. He couldn't get any voicemails because it stayed busy. And the whole city wanted to help us. But at this point, Chef Zane was done. He had just peaked out mentally. So we closed the doors and we never reopened. So we lost all that money and we had to figure out what to do. So we still had the seasoning business still going. We were shipping every day. And in the mix of that, we ended up getting into Food Lion. We got a phone call from Food Lion one day. No, I'm sorry, an email. And this was right after the restaurant closed. And I said, honey, Food Lion just reached out to us. And he said, what? I said, but I think it's a scam. So I looked at the URL and I was checking information. I saw the lady's name, so I called her. And she was like, yeah. She was like, hey, someone was out at one of your events and tried your product, and we are very interested. She said, I would like for you to send us a sample. I said, I've been sending y'all samples every year. Like, you don't have not one? She said, no, we don't. Can you send it to me? So we sent her the seasoning, and they ended up trying it. And they ended up, everyone who we know from traveling, doing trade shows and festivals that we do. I'll mention that in a minute, but we do trade shows and festivals. So we travel to different cities and states and we sell our seasoning, and Chef Zane chops up vegetables and just cooks with the seasoning, lets people try it, and that's how we get to sell our product. We travel to different cities and states, like I said, and they just sample it and then they purchase our seasoning. So that's how we do the bulk of our business right now.
I gotta say this though.
Yes.
If 10 people taste it, 9 people are buying it.
Come on.
We have learned to push people over to him, and then I start doing the whole spiel, because while they're hearing the spiel, they are literally sitting there enjoying the seasoning, and they can't believe that's all he uses. Most people say, is that all you use? Well, what else? No, you had to use something else. He just has that seasoning sitting up there with some oil, and he likes to use parsley because it makes it look pretty. I have to put that in there. And that's all he uses. So then that's how we sell our product. And so when Food Lion came to us, they said, we're not going to put you in some of the stores. We're going to put you in all of our stores. And so we were like, okay, well, how many is that? And they said all 504.
Come on.
And so it has not, from what I've heard from other vendors who are trying to get into the grocery stores, they all keep saying, well, how did you get in? No one gets into every grocery store all at one time, all the stores from that company. So by the blessings of God, so we got in there about 2003. We've been selling it, and they can't, 2023, I'm sorry. So 2 years ago, they can't keep it on the shelf. It's in the local goodness section in North Carolina only. I have to put that full disclosure because people ask us, are we in different states, and they're going to other food lines. Only North Carolina, and on the local goodness section where all the North Carolina product is. And so we've been selling there for 2 years, and now we have just gotten in this year to 20 Lowe's Foods, and we will also be, I believe it's every Publix. We're waiting to hear back, which would be another huge thing for us. The product has been delivered there. We're just trying to get how many stores. I haven't got that count, but our seasoning is now in 3 major grocery stores in North Carolina. So it's a huge deal, and we are very excited, and Food Lion was the first one to jump out and trust us, and we have been performing and selling ever since.
Yeah, so I heard you said, wow, so many things I want to go at. So first and foremost, What states have, because you all have been putting that red tent up, and by the way, you got the right color, you named it just right, because everything you said, it worked on me. I walked over to your tent, and I'm thinking, wow. And I guess I was one of those 10 people. I was the 9 that bought, because I bought one of each you have, one kind of spicy, one normal, original. And that idea, what states have you been, that you've traveled to?
So we've been to Florida, South Carolina, Georgia,
Tennessee, Virginia. Where else have we been?
So a lot of miles. Yeah, a lot of miles and travel. And you've been doing events and shows and kind of things, trade shows. So you've met thousands of people coming by with that taste, that the smell. And you're right, because I truly, when I tasted it, I was like, because I've heard people say things, well, it's going to be this, whatever. And I said, oh, let my taste buds be the judge of that. And I was sitting there thinking too, well, wait a minute. They put some meat in this thing. They just ain't telling me the truth. I take that taste. I'm thinking, ooh, and everything, it tasted great, and it got my attention. So, but I also heard you say in your story, because there's always behind the scene. You know, there's a saying that I know Muhammad Ali used to talk about, and a lot of boxers say they hate the training part. Because you're up so dark, he said you got to train. You put your 5 to 10 mile run in the dark, so you can live in the light like a champion the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So behind the scene of when your husband said to you, "Hey, I'm done," that whole piece of "I'm done" and the $65,000, and you know, that
hurt.
yeah, oh, absolutely. That part, and this is where I'm. You know, you all did not know what motivational quote I was going to start with today.
No, you were on it. Oh man,
yes,
smiling ear to ear when you said it.
Exactly. Because I didn't know the full story, but I chose this one because there's so many people says you're never too old to set another goal or dream a new dream. And you all were forced to, and I know T.D. Jakes has a book called Reposition Yourself. And the idea that you reposition, it hurt. Absolutely it did. And sometimes it's like that caterpillar, you know?
Yeah.
The struggle becomes the butterfly. You know?
And I will tell you that in the mix of that, we had to make some financial decisions, which is, it's hard for us to talk about it, to be open, but we're learning that in this walk that we're doing with the Lord, that sometimes your testimony is greater, and you need to be able to share that story, because you don't know who you could bless. Even though it hurts you, it could be a blessing to someone else. So in the mix of that, the Lord has showed me that in order for us to pursue this business, we had to make two decisions. Either we decide to stick with the business, we would have to sell our home that we had built 10 years ago at that point, and move out of it so that we can clear up our debt. Because mind you, our credit scores dropped, our debt, the money, our savings had went out the door from opening that second restaurant that we only had for 2 days. And we had to regroup. Or that we either close Zane's Carolina seasoning down and stay in our home and just how to figure out how to regroup. But because we were already year 8 at that point, and we were doing good, we had just Food Lion, right? We were doing the trade shows and the festivals. I told Chef Zane, I was like, well, we can still do this. I know you love to cook for people, but at least you're cooking on a smaller level, and you're still making people smile. Like, people love your product. Your product is changing the world, just so everyone knows that this seasoning is low sodium, it's gluten-free, it's plant-based. So it is healthier. It is a great thing. We have been paving the way for all different type of people. We've also been paving the way for the minority communities to try to give them a healthier way to eat. We are not scientists, so I am not saying we are going to save people. But being able to use a seasoning that is healthier for you to use, we all know is better for you.
Yes.
And so once we did that, it was just like, okay, this is the decision you have to make. So we ended up selling our house, and we ended up purchasing a 40-foot RV. We paid cash for it, so we didn't have to worry about any bills. And that's where Zane and I lived for 14 months. Inside of an RV. And we were just, it was the two of us. And like I said, it was big enough. It was like, you know, a little home, but that's how we lived. That's how we traveled. That was our day-to-day life. And we just had to figure out, did we want to be 100% vested in the business or live a lavish life, right? Or live a lifestyle. So it was very tough, and we kind of got distant from family and friends, and we kept to ourselves. And people thought we were being stuck up or funny, but we're like, no, like we're literally trying to figure out, and we couldn't listen to haters, naysayers, anybody. We had to stay in our husband and wife relationship and say, what do we do so that we still stay afloat and we don't divorce, right? And so this was that decision that we made. And then, so once we did that, it was becoming debt-free, clearing up the debt, and letting things go by. So we're blessed enough that we were able to find a place that we're renting for the time being. But we believe in our product so much that we have gone through so much pain and sacrifice and things that people said, I could never do what you did. I would have never sold my house. I would have never did this. But here we are, 2 more grocery stores later. Here we are, having a marketing team that's helping to take our social media to the next level. Here we are, where Zane and I are able to figure out how to move forward to keep growing and get into more grocery stores and figure out the next path. And we're still keeping our eyes open to, if the Lord ever bless us, to find a small building, like very small, like takeout, to maybe we could go back into the restaurant industry, because, just sidebar, my husband will not let cooking go. This is his passion, this is his love, this is his baby, and I, as his helpmate, I am willing to help him continue this journey because I watch him. He is in the back of that kitchen in a restaurant and even in our house, and he's listening to the quartet gospel music, and he is jamming. And the next thing I know, I watch these people just loving his food. So it's not only what he loves to do, but his work that he has of God in him. And that's how his food comes out so flavorful. So I just enjoy it. That's my emotional
Let me slide.
side.
Let me slide this in there right quick. And on top of everything that she's saying, we have simultaneously together been in college, Storms Help Bible College. We have our master's degree in Christian education, and we're now doing our final year as a doctorate program, and we'll have a doctor's degree in theology when we're done in April.
Come on, see. Listen. Let me just pause here, because y'all done took my show over. Y'all got me sitting over here, got my shoes off. I'm kicking my feet over here. Y'all can see up on the table. But let me tell you, now I know why I was drawn to your table. Now I know why there was something after the 15 minutes we stayed together talking. There was something about you too. Now I see it, because see, I've heard so many nuggets, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is that, as a couple doing business together, how do you balance your personal life? First and foremost, I see God as the center of it. So therefore, the other part is easier, because see, a lot of women, oh Lord, that big house, the person that said, I never would have, because first and foremost, it was not their dream. So they don't have to make that decision. And the idea, I need somebody who's listening to hear this. When you're going through the struggle, buying that RV was the most sensible thing to do, because it cuts the overhead. It cuts down all the stress. And you got to make sacrifice for the dream. And there's so many people, because I teach at the college, and I teach a class and it's called interpersonal relationships, and so many, and the class is really, I call the peel your onion class, because it's about you. Because with onion, it brings good flavor, but it can bring some tears too.
Tears, yes.
It can bring tears if you don't know how to cut them. Okay, so in how to do certain things. But the key thing is, you all made a decision to go through the journey. And see, this is what I love. This is the backstory. I feel so blessed and so honored to hear the backstory, and my listeners are hearing the backstory. Some of them listening right now, they have a backstory they're running from. And oftentimes when people work together, separation, divorce, all kinds of things can happen because of, I never wanted to do this, and we just spent $65,000. There's no way you're gonna do this, and go off on him, and he's saying, "Did you hear what I said? I feel like I could die, if I keep doing this." And so you were patient and listen. I'm hearing that there's a recipe to this. What you all are saying, that 8-year journey that you went through, when you were behind the scenes and y'all were many conversation, I'm sure on your knees a lot, praying for some clarity. And Food Line sends you an email. Kind of like with me, 40 years go by, 4 decades, and radio comes back to me when I wasn't looking for it. And I thought it was a scam too. I thought it was a scam. I thought WDRB. I said no way. And the idea of the journey and hearing folks' story, people's, because everybody got a story. And if you don't, and these individuals who think everything's going to be perfect, there's somebody listening, they want to start a landscape business. Somebody here, you want a car detailing business. Somebody I love doing hair. And you have not yet stepped out of your comfort zone because you cannot start a business. But here's the thing about a business, and I think you all may agree with this, or you may or may not. But a lot of times when people say, I own a business or I have a business, I own that business, but the business really owns you.
That's right.
Yeah, can you all speak to that?
Yes. And I will tell you, because I don't want to forget this, I want everybody to understand we have been doing these ups and downs. This is our 10th year since Zane's Carolina has been in effect. We started this company February 2015. We're now in 2025. And we did not start really feeling any relief until when Food Lion came in 2023. So that's 8 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and hurt, and pain, and sacrifice, and not giving up, and trying to figure out how we're paying this and what we weren't paying to pay to book shows, to do all of that. And that is still a financial struggle for us because of us coming out of this other side. We can't book some of the big events that we want to do because you have to book them 6 months out in advance, and it takes money for it to just go away. And for our grocery stores, we have to put up front before we get a paycheck. So imagine how big Food Lion is, and Lowe's Food and Publix are. They are major, major chains, and when they put in the orders, we have to put our money up front and then wait for them to pay us down the line. So I just want to let people know that, because people just think that, oh, they got sales season and we see them on social media, they're doing this, oh, they make all this money. It still comes and goes. So, and we have to put up front before we reap some benefits, and then we're going back to do it all over again.
Yes.
So I just wanted to leave with that. Go ahead.
Yes.
Speak to the part about the business owning you.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that and by the way, Mr. McDonald, I totally agree with the statement. The business owns you, but my point about the foundation to that is that if you want to be successful, you have to let the business own you. That means that you're going to stay focused. You're going to go through the ups and downs. You're going to hang in there, and your time is going to be put to where your dream is. You're never too old to set goals or continue on having dreams. Never let your dreams die. We started this business in Ziploc bags. I just want to throw that out there. We started this business at flea markets in Ziploc bags, and we said that either we was going to do this or not, and we've been doing it.
Out the trunk of our car. We had our trunk open.
Yes.
And so just to add one of the most important things in our lives. When I heard you talk about the Lord, I'm an elder. I just got ordained December 1st of 2024, right? And my wife is a deaconess. So God is at the center of our life, at our business. Everything that we do, we want to put him first in what we have. And our success is going to be great. We just have to walk in it, be uncomfortable in it, and just hang in there with it.
Yes, because
That's our story.
that's the story. Listen, and the thing about it is, it's your story, and you're giving God the glory. See that part right there? That's the key to a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. The struggle is real. Anybody thinks that? Listen, first and foremost, people think that a job is easy, but you got to put up with a lot of stuff. They tell you when you can work, shift work. See, we've been conditioned to have a JOB, which is just over broke. Okay? We've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to go to school. Now, here, like I said, I got 3 degrees and all that stuff is fine. But let me tell you something. The grind is being able to find your passion. Because what I'm hearing is a love. So y'all ain't really working. It's a passion. And that grind, if you stay on the grind and stop looking around and get laser focused, that book is a powerful book I got to plug called Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And he talks about being laser focused. Think and Grow Rich. Okay, there's so many people. That book was written in 1929, and all billionaires have read it at least 8 to 10 times, okay? Because it isn't, say, I read the book. No, did you reread it? Because sometimes you miss some things. But the fact that you all have been grinding and staying laser focused despite all of the setbacks is a testament to the journey that you all have. And some people give up easily. They get a little hardship, they get a little something here, and they feel like, oh my God, I can't make this. This is so horrible for me. But what I'm hearing you say is that the passion you had from the days of the back of your trunk and the plastic bags and the setbacks, and they say, Willie Jolly's book says a setback is a setup for a comeback, and you all on this 10-year journey have been doing that. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Did you know all disease begins in the gut? That's right. Your gut is your second brain, guys. It's connected to your liver. It's connected to your hormones. All things start in the gut. That's why you need to get your gut right today with P84. Loved by him. Awesome product called P84. 84 fruits and vegetables organically grown all around the world to help detox every organ in your body, provide all the nutrients, everything you need in your system to get your gut right. Simply go to MauriceMcDonald.net. MauriceMcDonald.net, MauriceMcDonald.net, and learn about P84 to get your gut right so that you can have an awesome body. Guys, we're back. We're back for the It's About You radio show, WDRBmedia.com, ladies and gentlemen. We have amazing couples here today sharing their story. Time has gone by so quickly about the struggle, about their business, and now they're happening with that. Zane Carolina Seasoning. We're going to share some information with you. But before we leave, what advice would you have for any listeners out here who are couples, entrepreneurs looking to start a business? What advice would you give them?
So we're going to tag team on that to answer that question. One of the biggest things as couples, having the stick-to-itness is one. 2, being on the same page. 3, this dream was my dream. My wife has other avenues of things that she wants to do, but as a couple, she says, honey, I'm going to get behind you, and push this, and then once this is successful, we can venture off. Honey, why don't you tag and, say something about that?
Yeah. So I have a couple of things that I had started out wanting to do, but when I saw that the seasoning would create revenue quicker than mine, that's when I fell back and I decided to focus on Zane's dream. And then I try to tell women that are in this situation, a lot of us have friction in our relationships, and some of it is because of business and money and so forth. I tell them, everybody needs to focus on one dream at a time. You cannot be two-headed horse. You have to be able to have one vision and sell it out and then continue on with the next journey. And when you do that, you will find yourself coming together and being more productive. So I support him in something that I never would have stepped out into. I never would have imagined or thought it, but I put my heart and soul in it because I see where he's going, and I'm building this vision so I can do what I need to do. So I implore you all to take a listen and don't do multiple businesses at once. Focus on one, no matter which mate it is.
Yes.
That's it.
Because my mentor said to me, he who wears two watches can never know what time it is.
Yeah, come on, brother.
Okay,
Yes.
and that is so people, you can't ride two horses at one time. And oftentimes people want to do that. And as you said, hey, when you can master one, then you can branch out to have multiple streams, but stay laser focused and don't get sidetracked.
Yes.
That journey. So now, how can people find your product? Give them the name of it, the different ones you have. How can they find your product? You gave some places, but is there any other way they can get your product?
Yes. So I will give the easiest way, which is our website. It is www.ZaneGrays.com. That's our website. It has all our social media. It has all our different products because we have more products than just our seasoning. That's on our website. But you can also find us in all 504 Food Lions on the local goodness shelf, 20 Lowe's Foods, which we have listed on our social media and our website. And Publix is coming within the next 2 weeks. So you'll be able to find out if it's all stores or what stores within the next 2 weeks. But on our social media, you can find us under Chef Zane and Susie Sous Chef. So just a quick disclaimer, my name was changed on social media to Susie Sous Chef because I broke one of Chef Zane's his cooking gadgets in the very beginning of our shows, and he likes to name people. So he'll talk junk and he'll give somebody this funny name. And so when I broke his gadget, he was like, "You're always doing something, Susie Sous Chef." And it kind of took off from there, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, we love that name for her." So on social media, that's when you hear Susie Sous Chef, that is me, Akilah, but that's the name, and it just kind of sticks, and people draw to it.
So we ship all over the United States. Yes, we ship everywhere. So call us, and with the phone number is there, the website is there. If you need us, reach out to us. I'm generated a sweet tea, Zane Carolina sweet tea. I also have a cookbook out on the website.
Yes. Okay, so give them that website one more time.
So it's www.Zane, that's ZANE, Grays, GRAYS.com.
All right. Listen, this has been outstanding. I knew it would be. To share this amazing information. Thank you all so much. And for all my listeners out here, go check out their product. It tastes amazing. Trust me. You won't be disappointed. Hey, this is the It's About You radio show, WDRBmedia.com. Come in next week, every Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go to MauriceMcDonald.net. All about the amazing gut microbiome. We'll see you next week because we're going to be in the building.